She's
That,
giving you shit, dude.
that just happened. Welcome to podcasting. Let me move this. And it's funny, I'm nervous tonight, but it's not even the subject matter. It's not even y'all. It's the fact that I'm sick and taking cold medicine, and I'm normally not sober when I do this.
Oh.
So this is the most sober I've ever podcasted.
Well, are you taking cold medicine that
Yeah,
might
I was
like
gonna say.
No,
being not sober?
Not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Not good enough. Go ahead and grab some tweets. I did the bad of like, hey, let's go live, and then I'll be right back.
Okay.
Professional.
Bye.
Okay, 20. This is all you and me now, yeah?
Yeah.
It's our show.
Oh, this is so weird watching myself delayed on the stream. That's very
I know.
strange. Whew. Hi, chat room. How's it?
Is there anyone there? I don't think so.
There's at least one person there.
There's me, and there's you, and there's Jupiter.
That's right.
Hello, Jupiter. Is that your friend?
Hello, Jupiter.
Yes.
All right.
That's the one viewer I said I thought I would be bringing. Glad she's here.
Hey.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and count down. I'm going to play my little intro, and then we'll get going.
All
I'm
right.
ready.
Let's put that some more.
Is it weird that I'm paranoid about my breath when none of you can smell it?
Not at all.
That beer and pizza.
No, I brushed my teeth.
Oh, that's awesome. I've been drinking Gatorade all day, so I have an orange tongue, and I'm really worried about that.
That's very cute. I should have had a blue popsicle, and then we could have Broncos colors.
Oh, go Broncos. Go local sports team.
Where are you local to?
I'm in Central Florida.
Oh.
So I don't claim the Bucks. If I was going to do football, it would be the Lions, which is only marginal.
Lives in Tampa.
Really? I'm only just a little bit down the road. I hear the love when you say sister. We'll leave that be.
No, my sister I love. I don't love that she lives that far away.
Oh, okay. I misinterpreted the anger there.
No, there's other drama.
Because
I have stuff going on.
I have a brother that lives in Virginia Beach, and yeah, not a fan.
I have an aunt in Virginia Beach.
Ooh, it's a nice area.
It's a nice place to visit. I enjoy it very much.
I once opened a Mexican restaurant there. True story. Yeah.
Hashtag things heard in Twitch chat.
Exactly. All right.
Awesome.
And well, crap. Well, no. All right, we're not going to do that. We're just going to do this thing. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Welcome to the Game Case, a show for, well, anyone that plays World of Warcraft. The show rife with ramblings, tips, tricks, and goings-on in WoW. Here's your host, Chris Case.
Hello, hi, howdy, and welcome to a special boss pull of the Game Case, where we discuss a boss size issue facing the World of Warcraft community. Now tonight I have two wonderful guests with me. I have 20 and Bim. 20, if the community doesn't know who you are, could you take a second and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm 20, also known as 2020 Site on Twitter, so you might or might not follow me there. You know, I'm not a podcaster, I'm just a, gamer and a community member, and I have a little blog you can go check out if you want, but that's me.
Right on. Well, thank you for coming on tonight. Bim, how about you?
Hi, I'm Bim, and this is my first time on the Game Case show and first time video casting, so welcome to my living room.
What a lovely floral pattern couch. I absolutely love it.
Yes, this is where I game on my TV, and it's so comfortable. So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking with you guys tonight.
Right on. Well, now, if you haven't guessed it, tonight we're going to be touching on LGBT issues in World of Warcraft. And that means both of the young ladies that have decided to join me tonight are members of the LGBT community. I am saying this, Jesus Christ.
It's okay.
We're gonna start this all over.
Cuddles, you're fine. You just called us
No.
young. You're winning.
I know, right? Okay. We're gonna roll with it. Screw this. We're gonna do
approve.
it live. Both of these young ladies are members of the LGBT community. Is it like a BLT? Can you mix it up, or does it have to go like one way?
Sandwiches.
Okay, so like 20 years ago when I came out of the closet, it was GLBT, and then people started reversing the L and the G. And I
Really?
think that, yeah, and I'm not sure where that trend started, although my hunch is that it was somewhere on the East Coast where all the lobbying happens. Probably because they wanted to skew it towards, yes, we think women are important, we're going to put the L first. So, I don't know.
There you go.
It has been mixed up before, so it's a bit of an alphabet soup.
All right, so we're going with the alphabet soup. Both of these young ladies are members of that alphabet soup and also members of the Warcraft community. So being as this is a World of Warcraft podcast, and both of these young ladies I've actually met through playing World of Warcraft, there's one thing that I want to stop and touch on before we dive into the meat of the matter. And that is the one little tiny piece of Warcraft news that happened this week. Ladies, have you happened to see any of this? I think there was a little maybe a expansion announcement, something about Legionnaires, maybe like an iPhone game coming out.
The French Legion.
Yeah.
Something.
Storming the Bastille.
Sacre bleu. Hello. Finally a new X-Pack to get us out of this Warlords of Draenor slump we're in.
Woohoo!
I'm excited.
What about you, Bim?
Well, it was not exactly what I was expecting, but I guess I should have seen this coming because I remember at a previous BlizzCon, somebody mentioned like, who would you like to see again? And the crowd inevitably said, Illidan! And they said, yeah, that's interesting. And they just sort of left it there. And so I was remembering.
Welcome to the Game Case, a show for
in the past, and after the whole Burning Crusade storyline. So it was like, well, yeah, of course. When I saw the announcement, like, oh yeah, that was totally going to happen at some point. They were going to bring back Illidan, and that they're attaching a hero class to his return also makes total sense, because it's kind of like Illidan is almost on that level of reverend characters as Arthas. So Arthas had his hero class introduced with him, and so Illidan's coming back, so why not give a class that follows suit along him? And so I'll totally try out a Demon Hunter, but I don't think it'll be my main, because I never go with re-rolling my main when the new class comes out. That's just how I am.
That's right.
So what about you guys? What do you think about the Demon Hunter?
I'm excited for the Demon Hunter, and I hadn't even considered the parallel between having a hero class launched with the Lich King as the boss, and then having the hero class launched with Illidan, which we don't know if he's gonna be a boss. That cinematic is really not very clear on that. Like, it could go both ways. Like, Gul'dan could bust him out of his prison, and he could be like, "Screw you, I'm helping the mortals," you know. So I don't know. We'll see. But I will definitely roll a Demon Hunter, because why not? Why wouldn't you try something new? I mean, I've tried Death Knight like 5 times and hated it every time, so I'll try Demon Hunter at least once.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. I know I'm gonna run a Demon Hunter. I'm gonna try it, much like 20. Give it a go. I absolutely love my Death Knight. By the way, I just boosted him, so maybe I don't know him that well yet. We're still in that beginning stage. Very interesting, getting to know each other, finding out our different talents and responsibilities, as it were. But no, I'm gonna give Demon Hunter a go. I'm super excited. This is actually my first X-Pack, so I'm a WAD baby. In
Really?
case you didn't. Yes.
Holy cow!
Yes, I started playing the game in December of last year.
What?
So,
No way.
Picked up on it really quickly.
No
yeah.
kidding.
I kind of dove right into things. So, yeah. This is my first X-Pack experience. So I'm extremely excited. No matter
Yes, I remember my first X-Pack experience.
Wait.
I remember.
What was your first X-Pack experience?
Well, I started playing in 2009, so
Okay.
that was Wrath. And the thing is it took me like 13 months to get to what was then top level at level 80. Because I didn't want to play with anybody. I didn't get this whole MMO thing. I just was off doing my own little thing, questing. And then, I joined a guild later, and they started running me in dungeons, and I started understanding what MMO really meant. And so then they announced Cataclysm, and everybody else who had already been running ICC for umpteen months by that point was like beyond excited, and I was just excited because I'm a lore hound. I love the lore stuff, so I was excited for new story. But also I joined a guild right at the beginning of Kata that really introduced me to things like raiding and I hate to admit it, but also PvP. I can say with authority I don't like PvP.
No?
No, the word I usually use is abhor.
No. Well, how did you feel about the new Call of Duty style prestige system that they're going to be throwing in?
I got up and went to the bathroom during that part.
Oh, geez. That good, huh?
I don't like PvP. And the reason is I don't like the way that other players behave when they play it. And we'll probably get into this behavior bit in a few when we get to the topic of the night, but I don't like when people use the internet as an excuse to be assholes to each other. And my very first experience with PvP, I was griefed by a gnome rogue in Wintergrasp.
Ooh.
So I now dislike gnome rogues intensely.
Well, who doesn't? I mean, really, who likes gnomes to begin with?
And my troll may or may not in character may or may not be joking when she says she likes to eat gnome.
Oh, jeez. Well, we won't let Marconin know that. He's my closest gnome friend. So shh.
Me and Marconin have an understanding.
Okay. As long as we're not eating any of my friends, the rest of the gnomes they're fair game.
Especially considering that Marconin, the human being player, is nowhere near gnome stature.
Right.
So, I won't be eating Marconin anytime soon, in or out of game.
That's very good.
I'm sure he'd be glad to hear it.
Well, now that we have established who we are and aren't going to be eating, I think this would be a perfect time to transition into the big topic of the night, kind of the meat of the matter. And I wanted to have the both of you young ladies on because I am a straight white guy. I have absolutely no clue what it's like to be LGBT in a world right now that's only beginning to recognize and accept you. Can you take me through how, if at all, being LGBT affects your gaming life? 20?
Well, I mean, the beautiful thing and the not so beautiful thing about the internet is that we can choose how we present ourselves, because almost nobody is in the room with us, right? I mean, we can tell people who we want to be if we so choose. I personally feel like being honest is the best policy, so I tell people my truth. So I am open about my sexuality. I don't every time I fly into a new zone, I don't go, /1, hey, what's up, lesbian here? How's everybody doing? But I do, if it comes up, I'll say, hey, I'm a lesbian, or if I'm talking to people that I'm actually making a one-on-one connection with, I will say, if I happen to be with somebody, my girlfriend or whatever, like, I have no problem with people knowing that I'm gay. I'm out of the closet in real life, and I'm out of the closet in virtual online life as well, because to me it's all just facets of the same truth.
Now, let me ask you this. You said obviously you don't dive into a new zone and go, "Hey, lesbian here," any more than I dive in and go, "Hey, big white straight dude here with a great neck beard. Come check this out." And it is a magnificent neck beard, by the way. I just want to point that out. I don't get to talk about that enough on my show.
It's your show.
It's not related. I try so hard to not make it a neck beard related show, though. But is there a point? Is there a? I mean, there's no magic answer. When does this come up? When do you actually address that with someone? Is there an actual conversation? Is there a, "Oh my God, hey, I'm a lesbian" moment? Or is it more, "Oh yeah, me and my girlfriend went and did something," and then somebody goes, "Your girlfriend?" Or do they even ask?
It's different every time. Something that they don't always tell young people. In fact, I think they probably tell young non-heterosexual people this more now than they did when I was a young one. They don't tell you that you're going to be coming out over and over for the rest of your life. Because there's always somebody who doesn't know. No matter how much I feel like I present visually, and it's probably good that we're doing this on video so I can show what I look like as very lesbian, there's always someone who has no idea, like just is oblivious. So there's always a moment in real life when I have to come out, and there is a moment in online life too, like, new guild member comes into the guild and we're talking, and at some point it comes up that I'm female, because that's always a thing too. I'm sure Bim has had that experience. Yes, I am a woman. Oh, I thought you were a dude. But then if I then say, "Oh, Charlize Theron is a hot," and they're like, "Wait, what?" Like, there's always someone who doesn't put two and two together, so you have to explicitly say, "Well, I'm gay," or "I'm a lesbian," however each person chooses to define that. I use both. And then there's always, or it could be, well, me and my girlfriend went to see Phantom of the Opera the other night, and it was awesome. And then somebody in guild chat might be going, "Oh, she has a girlfriend. She's obviously not with a guy." So there's always, it's different with every person that you encounter. And then there are the, times in, like, trade chat or whatever, where people are being homophobic or whatever, and I jump in and say, "Hey, I'm a lesbian, I play this game too, I find that offensive, knock it off." Like, sometimes you have to be really forceful about it. So it ranges from subtle to very overt for me. I don't know if Bim has had a similar experience.
Well, we have a question in the chat room I want to address real quick, or that I just wanted to bring up, is coming out over voice chat and how that changes the dynamic. And well, it's definitely a way of, when you're on voice chat, it's that's when your gender comes into play, because people will assume you have a specific gender based on how they perceive your voice. But there's a lot of people who have voices that aren't within gender norms, and so not even like getting to the sexuality part, their gender will be questioned at that time. And of course, there's people who may not even identify as female or male. And I wanted to bring up the topic of gender anyway, because when we're talking about sexuality, you inevitably have to talk about gender and what that means, because if you identify as heterosexual, then that assumes that you're of a gender that's different than what you're attracted to. But there are, in my view of the world, there are there's a whole range of gender. There's not just two, although when we get into how I identify, it gets tricky, because so there's male and female gender, but there's also people who even fall outside of that gender spectrum and may be what is known as intersex, and they don't identify as male or female.
Or they identify as both.
Right. And there are some people who identify as androgynous, and so there's all sorts of different ways to identify, and whatever people identify themselves at, that's what they are, really. I mean, I don't feel the need to question, like, oh, is that what you really are? No, it doesn't need to be questioned. Just accept it, and let people do what they identify as they feel they truly are. So yeah, I mean, and there's this fluidity that comes with gender, that it may not even be the same. They may not be the same gender now as they were before, whether that means that they're trans or what have you. So anyway, I guess I can just go into well, actually, let me just toss it over to you guys and see if you guys have any questions or comments about that.
You guys being the chat room?
Or you two. And see, I just said you guys, and I'm not even like thinking about I'm talking about gender. But guys is just an all-encompassing term.
It is in our culture, certainly.
Yes.
But there are probably people out there who bristle at that use as well. So I mean, that just goes to prove your point. I mean, not everybody is going to identify as either male sex or female sex. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, and I follow a Facebook account, and she constantly is posting letters that she gets from people who, and they're all so young, impossibly young. I mean, I'm not old by any stretch, but I just had my 20-year high school reunion. So when I'm looking at these, teenagers who are one day going to school as a boy and the next day going to school as a girl and playing with gender fluidity like that, it's mind-boggling to me, because when I was in high school, nobody was even out of the closet at the time. So right. Things have changed.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it is. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, please, ma'am.
Well, it is totally a thing that young people are dealing with more these days. We're seeing that, with so many people having access to the internet, especially kids having access to the internet, that means that their minds are being opened at a much younger age to all the different variables of life. And so yeah, that's why there's a lot of a lot of gender fluidity among younger people, and not so much with older people, because just of the world that we're living in now.
Definitely, there's definitely a lot more attention, and I don't want to say acceptance, because I don't think we're there. Mm-hmm. But there is more acceptance, seems to be coming. At least from my point of view. But before we dive into that, if you could say one thing to other gamers, be they LGBT or straight, what would it be? First off, to maybe somebody else that's LGBT in game that hasn't come out, that's struggling. I know I personally had a friend that just came out as trans going through a transition, and that was very big for her to come out, and she was very conflicted about how it was going to be received, and how the community as a whole was going to take it for her. Is there anything that you would say, maybe to that person?
Well, Bim, you want to go first, or?
Um, what I think of is that it's becoming, these days it is becoming a more widely known thing. It's a lot of people were saying, after the Supreme Court, of the U.S. Had their decision at the end of June. There's a lot of talk of like, okay, let's work on getting rights for more people, like trans people, and that's a totally logical direction to go into. So it's great to see that trans people are getting more recognized. So as far as that person coming out as trans, I would say that they might be surprised with the reactions, as in there could be positive reactions, there could be negative reactions. The positive reaction could be that, oh, well, I actually have a cousin who's trans, or I have this classmate who's trans. There could be somebody in their lives that they already know who is trans, and they have that reference already. If they react negatively, well, then I think that's an indication that you need to find different friends. Or you can take that as an opportunity to educate once they're comfortable with it. What do you think, 20?
Well, okay, so as I said before, coming out is never over. The beautiful thing about the internet is there is a degree of anonymity. So it's actually kind of a great place to start trying to come out. That's actually how I came out in the first place. Like, the first people I told were, okay, I'm really dating myself, but people on America Online, AOL. Right? So the internet and Warcraft especially since, wow, I mean, there's so many ways to put your toes in different types of water, and you can do it all with your character. Even if you're not really comfortable embracing it yourself yet, do some RP, build a whatever build, gender, class, race, all the things, and go RP with somebody. Obviously, you want to probably do it on an RP server. This is a thought, but go try being the lesbian that you are in character and see how it feels, because it's a filter to make it a little bit safe. I mean, it's not like we're saying, go running down the street in front of your house going, I'm gay, or I'm trans, whatever it is that you are coming out about. Or, I'm asexual, or, I'm a cisgendered heterosexual male, which means you're a straight guy. But, like, I mean, there's ways to take baby steps. And then the other thing is that I would say, especially to people who are worried about it, it gets better. And there was that whole push a couple years ago, the whole it gets better thing, but it really gets better. It was hard to come out of the closet when I was 18, 19. I was 19. It's a lot easier now at 38. It gets better. It gets easier, and it's a lot easier to let stuff roll off your back down the road. So know that right now, in the heart of it all, when it's really hard, you will get better at it. And if you're afraid and you need someone to talk to, there are so many resources out there. There are 1-800 numbers, and there are people who are open and affirming about it online. Like, hit me up. I'm going to give you my Twitter handle at the end of the episode. Tweet at me. I will listen. You know, there are so many of us out there who remember what it feels like to just be stepping out of the closet. So, you know, my advice is try it out, try it on for size, and, you know, hang in there. It gets better.
So true.
That's beautiful. That was really wonderful. How about one thing that you could say to the gamers that aren't a member of the LGBT community, the gamers like me, that maybe, obviously I have LGBT friends. At least I hope I can call you guys friends. You're my two token LGBT friends.
Oh, token. The
Not,
big word.
not I know, right? I know somebody that's LGBT, so I'm very in touch.
I can check that off my list.
I know. I'm good now. No, but obviously, I have been. I don't even want to say lucky. I have just had the experience in my life, of having LGBT individuals as friends, as family members. What would you say maybe to the person that hasn't, that hears you 20 in, oh my gosh, that cat's adorable. I'm sorry, this is like all like serious moment, like Oprah time here, and like cute cat with the Blame Celeste. That's adorable. This is live podcasting. I love it.
We do love it. Cats are awesome.
The kitties are awesome. I wish I don't have any kitties anymore, just dogs. What would you say to that person in guild chat that maybe hears you for the first time? That you're like, oh my gosh, you know, this gal is so hot, and then you have to have that conversation, or that conversation comes up. Maybe it's not that you have the conversation with them. What would you say to them? How do they handle it? How does the straight white guy deal with, and I feel like I'm using the wrong words, because it's not a deal with, like, that's not the, how does someone that's unaware of how to interact with the LGBT community within the confines of World of Warcraft 20?
Now that is an excellent question. The first thing I would say to anybody who is interacting with somebody whose experience is outside of their own experience in terms of these kinds of gender role and sexuality topics is have an open mind. And I would especially caution people who were raised to believe any one specific thing about others who don't fit the heteronormative community, to deliberately open your mind. And then I think there's kind of two subsets of groups here. You've got the people who are like yourself going, I don't know how to interact with this person, but I don't think there's anything wrong with them. And then you have the people who do think that there is something wrong with people like me. And so to the people who are like, I don't know what to do, but I don't have a problem with it, just ask, talk, you know. And no, it's not appropriate to ask questions like, what do you do in the bedroom? Because would you ask that of the straight guy that you met at your new job? No. Not right away. I mean, you'd have to get to know a person, right? One
Have
would
some
hope.
drinks first.
Right. Buy me a beer first, okay? But it is appropriate to say, I don't have vocabulary to know how to talk to you about these sorts of things. Can you help me out? you know, it's not appropriate to make your issues around it, especially like if you're someone who has a family member who just came out of the closet and you don't know what to do. The first answer to that is love them. The second answer to that is research. Like, the internet is there. There are gay and lesbian community centers in every major city and a lot of not so major cities. There is parents, families, and friends of lesbians and gays, aka PFLAG. There are a lot of resources out there to help people who are trying to come from a straight-centric, heterocentric upbringing and mindset to learning how to interact with people who are not hetero. So there's a lot of resources out there, but if it's someone that you're building a personal connection with, it's okay to try and bring up conversations as long as you're respectful. Now, to the other people out there who are not nice and who do things like get in the faces of people like me and become bullying and harassing, stop it. Just stop it. Like, I mean, there's something about you that you don't want people to bother you about. So put yourself in other people's shoes and knock it off. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. Hashtag mom's advice.
Wow.
Yes.
And steps down off soapbox.
Spot on.
That's Bim. Do you have anything to add to that?
It's hard to add, basically like what she said, golden rule, treat them like a human being. There's I think with trans people, and I'm not speaking as a trans person, but there's a lot of questions that trans people feel that just is none of people's business. It's
Beyond inappropriate.
yeah, exactly. It's don't nobody should ask somebody else about their genitalia unless they're already involved with each other. And that's the whole people just fixating on what's between somebody's legs thing is just none of your business.
One of the best, I think the golden rule that I have heard in the past, and the one that when that does pop into my head, like, oh, hey, maybe I should ask this. Like, when was the last time you asked if you identify as heterosexual, when was the last time you asked a new heterosexual friend that? If the answer is never, and you think maybe that would be weird, then it would probably be weird to ask your new LGBT friend that as well. I for one, have never once sat at a bar with another straight man and said, so, dude, what you got in your jeans there, man? Could you slide into the bathroom and maybe take a little pic of that for me? Because I'm just really curious here. Wouldn't be appropriate in any way. So probably not appropriate to ask your new trans friend. And it's natural. It's human curiosity. That's fine, but it's not appropriate. Line crosser right there, guys. And the same as 20 said, bedroom discussions. You meet a new lesbian friend. Maybe her name is 20. I am in no way going to meet a guy at a bar, and I keep on using like guys at a bar. I guess I meet a lot of guys there. Maybe I need to rethink this whole thing.
Run into a church lady at the grocery store. I don't know.
I run into a coworker at my local grocer.
There you go.
While picking out cereal. Yes, we're on the cereal aisle. I'm picking out something healthy, like a oat bran or possibly a Special K. He's going with Frosted Flakes. It's gotten awkward at this point. But in no way would I go, hello, new friend. So, last night, which position did you use in the bedroom? Did you insert sexual activity here, her. Like, no. Like, okay, yes, this is something that you may discuss with extremely close friends, but the same rule applies. If 20 and I were lifelong friends, we would probably have that discussion about the different things that we do in any way that any close friends of some time would. So maybe there's my addition. Straight people out there there's nothing special here. They're people. You take away the alphabet soup, take away the what's in our pants, or who we're. If you're not wanting to do something bedroom style with them, it's not important what they're doing in the bedroom.
However, I have to interject there and say, if I'm out at a restaurant with my girlfriend, or out at a bar even, you know, where the drinks are flowing, don't feel like it's okay to be courageous and come up and say, "Can I watch?" No, you may not. The answer to that is 99.5 times out of 100 going to be no. And it's not respectful, and it's not appropriate to ask. And if I had $1 for every time I had heard either that or all you need is a real man, I could probably buy a very nice steak.
Wow.
Ooh.
So, don't even make it as a joke. That's what I'm saying.
No.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm the chat room are great people. Like, I'm not assuming any of you are that guy. But don't just, if anybody runs across this podcast anywhere, it's not funny. It's just not. It's uncomfortable and awkward and harassing.
That's wow. That's well. Let's throw that situation back into a totally a heterosexual point of view. Would you walk up to your let's assume someone was a churchgoer. Would you walk up to your preacher and his wife and request to watch them in their boudoir?
Love it. We're on the French Legion theme today.
Well, they're I don't know. He's a preacher. Maybe I thought I'd use a fancy word.
I love it. It's great. Go with it.
I feel like that maybe he's not throwing her over the couch. I don't. Boudoir's better. Like I don't. The floral couch is getting into my head. This went downhill quick.
So polar bears are left paw dominant.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Random fact for the win.
Did anybody see the rails back there? Because we're like totally off them right now. Okay.
Anyway,
Wow.
would you walk up to your preacher and ask?
Yeah, if it's something that you wouldn't ask somebody else, even in a joking manner, and that blows me away. That you've even. That's wow. I apologize for the entirety of heterosexual people, but not them, because that's not apologetic. Like I can't apologize for that. That's just stupidity.
Well, I mean, there's the people who think it's funny to ask, ha ha, and then there are the people who mean it, and that's like a whole nother beyond the beyond.
And then that's a thing that people think that it's well, she's a lesbian, so obviously she enjoys letting like sweaty fat men watch her have sex, because that's what I want. Is when I'm having heterosexual sex, I enjoy it when sweaty fat men, like just like it approach me at a bar and then ask me to come back and watch. Because
personally, I don't like letting anybody watch. No matter, I mean, I wouldn't let Charlize Theron watch, and I happen to think she's drop dead gorgeous. But if I'm not doing it with her, she's not watching.
I would let her watch. I would totally let her watch. I just want to throw that out there. She's in.
Fair enough.
She's in. Yeah, no, it's not. Charlize, if you're watching. If you're watching right now, it's at mullet863 on Twitter. Just let me know. I'll send you my address. It got weird, didn't it? All right. It got weird.
Polar bears have black skin, too. And they're the largest land predator.
Nature facts to distract.
This is awesome. And kitty cats.
That rhymes.
Oh my
That rhymes,
gosh.
too.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'd like to add something.
Please.
Okay, about just how do you engage LGBT? Um, pronouns.
Oh,
Pronouns a big thing,
Oh
good
yes.
girl.
especially with trans and intersex and etc. Um, if if you're meeting somebody for the first time and it's not rude to say, what's your preferred pronouns if you're not 100% sure of how they identify. That's a totally legitimate question. They'll probably thank you for asking them.
Yep, for sure.
Because if you do misgender them, and misgender meaning you're calling a she a he, and they're like, oh, I'm a she, and they correct you, don't get all defensive about it. It's nothing that you need to defend yourself about. Just say, oh, I'm sorry, she. That's all there is to it. It's really easy.
Speaking as someone who has been misgendered, yeah, it's really that easy. Just change it. And speaking as someone who has been misgendered, if you call me a he and I remind you that I am a woman, and you do it again, I'm not gonna jump all over you right away. Like, it takes a minute to rebuild that pathway in your brain. Okay, now I'm getting into anatomy and education because that's my background. It takes a couple of repetitions of the new information to build the pathway in your brain so that you remember that, oh yeah, 20 is a she. Or, oh yeah, this person who I mislabeled a he is actually a trans woman. So I need to use female pronouns. It's okay if it takes a minute to repattern yourself. What's not okay is if people continue to use the incorrect pronoun for any reason. It doesn't matter what your reason is. And people know if you're making an effort to change it or not. Like, we can tell. I have had people continue to misgender me as a male, and it reaches a point where you're like, okay, now it's disrespectful because you've had X amount of time or X opportunities to fix it, and it hasn't gotten fixed. So that, it's okay if you continue to make mistakes a little bit, but make an effort.
Yeah. I will actually admit, I will tell myself, I was the person that well, probably not the only person, but I was a person. I believe I called you sir.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
In Tarn Think Tank chat, and
I
it's
did.
okay. It's okay.
Because I had seen your Twitter profile pic and misread your profile pic, not thinking about it, and it was a good interaction because you corrected me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, and you were like, yeah, no big deal, and I haven't done it since, and I
No, in
definitely
fact,
see.
you were profusely apologetic.
I felt horrible, and it was funny because I think that was about the exact same time that around like within a few days I had the discussion with my WoW friend that was transitioning into becoming a female, and we had discussed pronouns, and it was fresh in my mind, and then I was like, oh jeez, I'm trying to be good, and here I go. Look at me, wrong pronouns everywhere.
Well, I mean, nobody's gonna. I mean, shoot, a mistake is a mistake. It's when it's deliberate that it's a problem.
Yeah.
So just, if someone corrects you, go with what they say. No matter how much your brain it tries to tell you elsewise, make the effort to build the new neuron pathways.
Right on. Neuronic pathways. I like it. It's the wrong term there. So, ladies, how about do you have any closing thoughts for the night? Or anything else that you would like to talk about at all on this subject? Let's start with Ben.
Let's see. Well, as a bi person, I don't really come out and talk, and I don't really come out, period, because I guess I have a husband, so people assume that I'm straight, but I also am attracted to women and gender fluid people, so actually technically I'm pansexual because, you know, I don't I don't need to have a gender binary, but uh so there, that's the problem with bisexual or pansexual or what have you. It's that if we're if we have a heterosexual partner, we look straight, and so so we're kind of invisible in that way, and so we have some of that straight privilege that it's kind of hard for us to get out from under, and so I don't know. I would just want to tell people that um, it's better to be visible, because I think what happened with the Supreme Court in June was because people got visible, and it's you're not doing anyone a service by staying closeted. Um, I mean, of course, if you have to stay closeted for your own safety, your own well-being, your income, of course, that's what you got to do. You do what you got to do. Um, but if your life can afford being out, do it, because your life will just become more rich as a result. You'll get into contact with more people that will support you. That's my closing thought.
Thank you, Bim.
That
How
was
about
well
you,
said.
Phil?
I don't know. In closing, I feel like I've been a little intense, but it's because I'm passionate about it. And the thing that I would tell everybody is that be open-minded thing that I mentioned before. Like, man, we're all a product of our upbringing. No matter what that upbringing is, it helped, again, with the neural pathways in our brain. Like, they form so young, and they form when we're children. And so it takes intent to open your mind. And I was raised pretty open-minded, but I've still had people open my mind even further. So I would say have intent and be open-minded. Expose yourself to things and people that you may never have come in contact with, and I guarantee you that what will happen is that your definition of humanity will be enriched. As I'm constantly learning about new things from new sources in my life, and like, there are things that I know now at 38 that 19-year-old wet behind the ears young lady did not. And it's only because I have deliberately put myself in situations to experience new things and new people. So open your mind.
Wow, that was beautiful, both of you. Um, wow. Thank you so very very much for for joining me tonight and for being open to this like straight white guy asking you a bunch of questions about what it's like to live a little bit differently than I do. And that's really all it is.
Well, Chris,
Um,
you're the perfect person to be interfacing with us, to be asking us these questions, because you are uh, the majority of the player base, and
Mm.
and so
Please don't compare me to the rest of them.
I'm
I've
not
seen
saying
trade
you're
chat.
like everyone. No.
I've seen trade chat.
I like to
Yes, you're
think I'm
not trade
not like
chat.
them.
No, and that's the thing. You're not the people that, like, trade chat. When you take out the trade, whatever little of it there is, like, it's the vocal minority.
Yeah.
I mean, because how many, and I've seen this topic discussed on multiple other forums and, like, on Triple T, and, like, the people who are being jerks in game are the vocal minority.
Yep.
You know, and God, that's true of so many forums. Like, the forums of public opinion are the vocal minority. So you are the perfect guy to ask us this question, because, you know, you're not those jerks that say those things, but you are seeking to enrich your experience, and then by presenting this in a public way, you're seeking to enrich the experience of others. So kudos to you for hosting this program tonight.
Oh, well, thank you. I really and truly, I just appreciate both of you young ladies being a part of this. So thank you so much to either one of you. 20, do you have any shout outs tonight? Anybody that you'd like to mention? I know this has been like a very serious topic, but let's step back for a second. Deep breath. You got any shout outs tonight?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
I do. I am. And if you forget someone, they'll remember, and then they'll mention it to you, and you're going to feel bad. So don't forget anybody. No pressure.
Whew.
All the pressure.
Right. I'm just going to play it safe and say shout out to everybody. Love you all.
Aw.
Treat each other well. Use the golden rule. And Wheaton's Law.
Yes. One of my favorites. How about you, Bam? Shout outs for anyone?
Yeah, shout out to Torrent Think Tank for bringing us all together. Because that's how I know 20 and Cuddlès.
Yep.
So yeah, Torrent Think Tank chat room is where it's at.
Right on.
And there's a lot of people from Torrent Think Tank chat in our chat right now. So,
hi guys!
So thanks guys for coming to the show.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so Bim, where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter, and my handle is @ShieldSpec.
And 20, how about you?
My Twitter handle is @20, the word 20, then the number 20 site. So it's 2020 site. And then my website is also, my blog is also 2020site.com.
Right on. Well, if you don't know me, my name is Cuddlès. You can find me online at Mullet863. You can find this show, The Game Case Show, at The Game Case Show on Twitter. You can find recordings of this episode on iTunes and Stitcher. You'll also find us on YouTube, youtube.com/The Game Case. You can find all the things on the official site of The Game Case Show, thegamecase.com. So thank you again, ladies, so much for joining me. I really appreciate you. Any last thoughts? Anything at all? Final call.
Hurry up expansion.
Woohoo! Legionnaires.
That's right, Legionnaires. Man, we should rename our...
Oh, let's hashtag that.
Right?
Hashtag Legionnaires. Oh, if this wasn't so serious, I would like this. That would be the name of the episode. But
No, why not? Do it.
Hashtag Legionnaires.
Yeah.
That could be your subtitle.
Hashtag LBGT Legionnaires. That'll be great.
Oh.
Oh, jeez.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And with that, Game Case out.
Thank you for joining us this week inside the Game Case. Please join us next week for more news, tips, and ramblings about the World of Warcraft. Game Case out.
World of the Warcraft.
All right, and that's it.
Oh, sure, now the chat room starts giving us more questions.
Right?
Yeah, what is this?
Oh, that's a great question. Is it me or there a total lack? It's not you, killer.
I don't think Blizzard even really wants to address,
No.
you know, homosexual relationships. And wow.
Although, I mean, like, there's the jewel crafting daily from the Kata era.
Yeah.
Where she sends you to find the gems so she can give it to what's her twink, the pirate captain or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were
So there's
actually, now
that.
come to think of it, there were a couple of subtle ones. Like, there's a couple of female sentinels who flirt at each other at the Alliance city in Dragonblight. There are a couple of male druids in the Molten Front, and Mount Hyjal in Cataclysm, that it was like a male Tauren and a male Night Elf, and
Yes,
it
I
wasn't.
forgot about them.
It's Tholo and
Oh, what are their names? Crap.
one is
I
Tholo.
remember them now.
Yeah, and they had like you weren't sure if they were just really super good friends or if they were partners, and I like that we can interpret it as we wish. There's nothing saying that we can't say that they're partners.
See, and can I ask this question because we're in the trust tree right now? I hope we're in the trust tree,
The
right?
trust tree, yeah.
Cuddles, if it's inappropriate, we'll tell you.
It is.
Yeah.
I know you will.
We're in our tree
Well,
house.
all I wanted to know was, if somebody was gonna No, I'm kidding. With this discussion has come up like quite a lot, especially in the monk IRC that I hang out in, Peak of Serenity, with the question of LGBT characters in the World of Warcraft. Being not a member of the LGBT community, my take on it has always been, I don't, fine. If Illidan and Arthas want to go off and play together, that's fine. I'm cool with that.
Yikes.
But is it, we're on an imaginary world with talking cows and space goats, and is it a necessary part of game development? And then I guess I ask that to say this: at what point do we step in an artist's process and say that we need to insert a social necessity? I'm trying to be very careful about how I say this because I don't want to misspeak. But does that make sense? At what point do we tell an artist, the artist being the Warcraft devs, that their game needs to include X? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does make sense, and the answer is that that point has come and gone with respect to things like LGBT representation within the storyline, and strong female characters, and flying, and I mean, if you think about it, everybody who's tweeting about Warcraft every day has something to say about the game, and
Oh, definitely.
and people have made their points known. I mean, look at the forums, right? I don't go to the forums because they tend to be pretty toxic at times, but
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is exactly what happens. People are telling Blizz what they think that they should do. And
I had not thought about it that way.
So, I mean, it's already happening.
That's why we got flying back. We got flying back because the community stood up and whined.
And in some cases, the gamers replying back to the developers changes things. And in some cases, it does not. To this point, it has not changed very much within the realms of the strong female characters, because there aren't very many. And one could argue that the ones that we have aren't that strong.
No.
Unless they're crazy. And then we don't have any out LGBT major lore characters at all at this point. So the question I hear you asking, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, is do we need to have this stuff in Warcraft? And as a gamer, I tell you, yes, I think we do. But we, as the consumer of this product, need to understand that we only have so much influence. Like, developers are gonna listen or they're not. And so I was not one of those people who was clamoring to have flying back because, I didn't figure they'd hear me.
Yeah.
I was surprised when they changed their mind. I was dead surprised.
Oh yeah.
Now, on the subject of LGBT representation, I think we should have it.
Okay.
I think I would like to see more of my personal reality represented in the fictional realities that I choose to access. I'm not going to stop accessing Warcraft because it's not in there, and I'm not going to stop accessing Warcraft because, there aren't enough women yet. I feel like they're going to remedy that eventually, but they're going to do it in their own sweet time.
Yeah. Well, and that's I appreciate your response, because that's what without having heard it kind of spoken out loud as you just did, I didn't get it, and that's part of that's part of why I wanted to do this, not specifically for that question, but for in the same way that you can't understand the reality of being a straight heterosexual male, I can't understand the reality of wanting LGBT issues in game on a personal perspective. I now have a little bit more of an understanding of it from you, but I can only sympathize. I can never actually get in your shoes. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, putting oneself in someone else's shoes is just an exercise in mental, it's just an exercise in empathy.
Yeah.
And so, I see Arcane just made a comment that one of the Blizzard employees said something to the effect of, we don't feel the need to address it being sexuality any more than we address other things done in private, like using a restroom. None of it pertains to the gameplay. And I agree. But what about that 15-year-old kid rolling his warrior who needs to know that it's okay to be who he is,
Yeah.
I kind of liken it to how all major sports stars are automatically role models, whether they like it or not.
Yep.
I think Blizz is in that position, whether they like it or not, that they need to start exemplifying the things that we do in game so that it can be extrapolated out of game. I mean, you log in and it says those tips at the bottom of the screen, and it says, bring your friends to Azeroth, but don't forget to go outside of Azeroth with them too. Like, that is an example of how we should be, right? So why can't Maiev Shadowsong have a wife?
Yeah.
Or
and I
something.
think comparing it to everyone pooping, I can't speak to your particular sexual experiences, but
Oh God.
to call mine pooping, I find that a little insulting, quite frankly.
Well, and frankly, if they're not talking about the bathroom in game, why do we have all the poop quests?
Right? I feel like we're
For
always
Pete's
picking
sake!
up poop. There's a
So-
daggum achievement for it in our garrisons. But
Yeah.
I get that, but they're glossing over it in a, we don't see characters poo, but everybody poos, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I haven't seen everyone poo, but I'm going to trust that that's actually a thing. They don't... I've never seen a interaction in game that would make me at all think that any character was LGBT. At all.
Well, like the jewel crafting daily and...
Well, and that's what I may have, I'm a new guy, so I may have
Right.
missed that quest.
Well, and that was back in Kata when that was current jewel crafting, so even if you leveled jewel crafting now, you might never do that daily, ever.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point. Like, it's now become such a way down deep in the experience thing for people who started in Warlords of Draenor, or for people who are going to start a year from now in Legion. They will never experience that, or almost likely never. I don't know. I mean, Arthas and Jaina, if you go back and read the lore from the early Warcraft games, like, they were a thing. Why can't we have other things that are not hetero? I don't
Well,
get it.
maybe, and hopefully we'll see something in Legion, because guess what? Now gay marriage is legal. Now gay marriage is no different than regular marriage. So because it's kind of lost some of its controversiality because of that.
Mhm.
Maybe Blizzard will feel more comfortable with having some relationship. I mean, where there's like a woman who's married to a woman or a man who's married to a man. Maybe those characters will show up next expansion. I don't think Blizzard should feel. Let me put it this way. It'll be noticeable if it's a forced thing. Let me put it that way. And if it's coming from a place of authenticity, then that's something to really feel good about. I want Blizzard to feel comfortable with expressing whatever relationships between characters that may happen in lore, and I want them to feel comfortable with including homosexual relations in lore in the game. So I feel like they should be able to do that, and it shouldn't come from like we have to do this place. It should come from we support this because this is who we are. I mean, I'm sure there's got to be some LGBT employees at Blizzard. I mean, there's got to be, because there's enough people that, probability says that's the case. So, if it's not even from themselves, that's something that says that, yes, we support this. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel that way at their company. And so I really hope we'll see something like that. And it doesn't have to be explicit. Just say that they're in a relationship.
Yep. It could just be the simple, like I talked about earlier, the in-passing thing.
Mm-hmm.
You go to get a quest and they say, oh, you need to go see my wife, and go get a different quest. Like, it's, or my husband. Like, I keep defaulting to wife because that's my reality. But, well, I hope one day it'll be my reality. But, like, I don't know, like, maybe it's you have a child quest giver who references their two male parents or their two moms. You know what I mean? Like, there are ways to do it that makes it authentic. And I'm with you, Bim. If it's not authentic, then just don't.
Right.
But, like, there is a huge player base of non-heterosexual people. And I know this because I follow people on Twitter who tell me how non-heterosexual they are, And it's like, the spectrum of sexuality, the entire thing is represented within the Warcraft player base. So I think that Warcraft is doing themselves a disservice by not representing everybody. And again, I'm not saying they need to just start putting things in to have them, but it's important to find a way to work it into the fabric of the game. That's my 2 cents. And maybe more than 2 cents. I don't know. We lost our host.
Yeah, Cuddlès left the show to us. Mutiny. Is this even the show anymore? I think this is post-show.
I think we're in post-show. I think he quit recording. But either way, it's good discussion.
Yeah, we just wanted to keep going because we got more stuff to say.
I did not quit recording, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Okay, that's fine.
Draven, that's a really good point. Draven Dresden in the chat room said they probably have LGBT people, but how many are high enough up as developers? It's possible that they are avoiding it because they don't feel they could address the issue properly. And I can see that. Like, I can see the heteronormative, mostly males who are on the developer team going, we don't know how to make this authentic. However, I would counter that with Blizzard has a lot of money it wouldn't be that hard to go out and start cherry picking some really great game developers whose life experiences could enrich this. They're out there. The lesbian game developers are out there, and the gay male game developers are out there. I guarantee, and the pansexual and asexual, and I'm not saying Blizz needs to have the whole alphabet soup on the first day of Legion, but it's time for them to start putting this in. I think, they've heard it. There have been whole podcasts created based on that idea that Blizzard isn't representing enough of the non-hetero, non-cisgendered community. And cisgender, by the way, for anyone who is unfamiliar with the term, just means that your anatomical sex and the sex in your brain, the gender that you are, match. So I am a cisgender woman.
As am I.
I'm not.
You're not cisgender?
I'm a cisgender male.
Oh,
That's
well done.
Yeah.
Right.
I get a fancy term too. I don't get a letter, but I get a fancy terminology. I like it.
You do get a letter. The letter is S. Or sometimes A for ally.
Ooh, yay.
LGBTQA. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, questioning, and
or
queer, and ally.
Oop. Okay, totally honest question. Queer is still a thing? I thought
Yes.
that was a no-no.
People
depends.
can call themselves queer. People can identify however they want to identify. That includes queer. Obviously, queer can still be used derogatorily, yeah. But,
Yeah, it depends on how it's being spoken.
Okay.
If you come at me like, you queer bleepity bleep 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 bleep, because this is a family show,
Okay.
then I am going to be offended by your use of the word queer. If I call myself queer and then you follow that up by calling me queer, there's no problem because I've given you permission by using that term on myself.
Okay.
It's not quite the same thing as the N-word.
Okay, that's I didn't want to reference that with it.
No, it's okay because
But-
that's often the parallel that's drawn. It's not quite the same thing because, frankly, and I recognize that I am white, and I recognize that
Here we go.
but frankly, I don't think that using that word is a good idea for anybody. Because
Agreed.
it perpetuates
It perpetuates a
a
stereotype
lot
and
of bad things from a long time of history.
Yep.
I feel the same way about the word dyke. A lot of women choose to reclaim that word for their own self-identification.
Orange is the new black.
Mm-hmm.
That word is all over that show.
Right. I actually haven't watched it, and no, you may not have my lesbian card. I don't feel like that's a requirement to carry a lesbian card.
I wasn't coming for it.
Well, that's as much directed at anybody watching this as it is at you personally, Cuddles. But I don't think that using that word is a good idea either. I don't think it's a good idea for an out lesbian woman to go perpetuating that word because the derogatory meaning is so derogatory.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the reality is if someone identifies with a word that you would never use yourself, that's their prerogative. But,
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily mean it's a great idea, but it's their prerogative.
Midnight has a question in the chat. Ladies, any other terminology issues that should be made clear?
I don't know.
Well, don't assume that you can use a word with someone until you've heard them self-identify that way. If you've never heard me say lesbian and you've only heard me refer to myself as a gay woman, don't call me a lesbian.
Yeah, or don't.
Technically, I fit the definition.
Or dyke. I mean, not all lesbians identify as dykes,
And actually, some of us don't like it.
right? Yep.
Interesting. I learned something, yet something else. Because I always assumed that gay and lesbian were interchangeable.
They can be. I mean, as I referenced earlier, I use both. I call
Yeah.
myself gay and I call myself lesbian. Um, it's interesting because this year I met someone who is Greek, and um,
That is interesting.
because the word lesbian comes from Lesbos, which is the island in Greece
Yeah.
upon which Sappho the poet resided, and there was a community there of lesbian, what we would now call lesbian women. And it wasn't actually such a big deal, by the way, in ancient Greece. Sexuality was a whole other ball of wax at the time. This was before the Catholic Church. And I'm not banging on Catholics, I'm talking about history here. The Catholic Church decided to put some rules in place that made it not okay to have same-sex relations.
Yep.
But we're not going to get into ancient history, but the word lesbian is of Greek origin then. And it's interesting because, you know, it doesn't have the same weight in the Greek language as it has in our language or any other language, I assume. I don't really speak any other languages. A little bit of Spanish, but, you know, like, just back to the terminology issues, like, some women don't like the word lesbian, especially, like, a couple generations older than me. That was a big stigma. You know, I was born in 1977, the end of the 70s. I said it. And if you were gay anytime before the mid 80s, it was unsafe. Like, you could easily be beaten, harassed, killed. Like, and we're talking about America here. Like, it was dangerous, especially if you did not live in a big urban area where you could blend in. So, if you're talking to a lesbian woman who's older than me, who fits the definition of lesbian, she might not like that word. Likewise, you might have a young girl, just, you know, teenager or in early 20s, who would be like, call me whatever, I don't care. Like, you know, so, like, it comes back to the same thing that Bim said about the pronouns earlier. Like, once you've heard a person self-identify, you're probably okay using that word to identify them, but don't go assuming. You know, and it's okay to ask. Like, I've had people ask me before, so do you call yourself lesbian, or what do you like to choose for that? You know, it's okay to ask, you know, and if that person snaps at you or gets defensive, that should tell you something about their experience, and try not to hold it against them.
Right on. Right on. Well, ladies, we are approaching 2 hours here.
Woo!
And I have absolutely loved all of this interaction. This has been great. I would love to, if you were both open to it, at some point in the future, revisit this. Because I think we've only scraped the surface here. I think there's definitely a lot more that we could talk about. And I appreciate and value both of your input here. But if everybody else is okay with it, and I'm not talking to the chat room because they would have us here till 3 o'clock in the morning if they could. And
right.
I'm sorry, everybody. We all have to go to sleep at some point. I mean, if one meets someone who's on, but you aren't. Yeah, how about that? How about I'm gonna read this, and then I'm gonna get out of here. Hey, Mr. Bim. I saw Mr. Bim's legs.
Yes.
They were cute. I mean, if one meets someone who self-identifies as a, quote, dyke, but you aren't comfortable saying that with the derogatory use, what does one do? And without any other input from either 20 or Bim, I think Kane nailed this. Like, can we just give Kane the crown for the night? Kane's
Kane gets a
answer
gold
is
star.
yeah. You get he gets a rainbow star and a gold star.
A gold star with a rainbow.
Yay! Unicorns, puppy dogs.
Kane is full of answers.
Kane suggests that you quite possibly just call them by their name. And that's the thing. Like we focused a lot tonight on labels and letters and sexuality, and at the end of the day, we're all just people. Like, you know, at the end of the day, this is not a straight guy, a lesbian, and a bisexual young lady. This is 20. This is Bim, and I'm Cuddlès. At the end of the day, we're just people. And regardless of what we're doing in the bedroom, who we're doing it with, who we want to do it with or not do it with, we're all human beings, and let's all try to treat each other accordingly.
Yep. Golden rule and Wheaton's law.
Amen. Don't be a dick.
And treat people the way you want to be treated. And, you know, if you don't like the word that they use to label themselves, that's okay. Ask them or just call them by name. Kane is right.
There you go. There you go. I would actually go so far as to say that 20 would prefer not to be referred to as that lesbian. Like, I'm going to presume that outside of 20, she has a real name, and she would probably prefer that as opposed to, hey, lesbian.
Right. I mean, can you imagine how awkward society would be if we all went down the street identifying each other by either owned or perceived labels? Like, you know, like, it would be so complicated. It's so good that we have names. And, you know, I do have a name. My name is Shannon, but I go by
Hi,
20
Shannon.
online because, well, you can read my blog. There's a whole post on it. You can go read it there. But, like, you know, at BlizzCon, I introduced myself by my given name, and then I would say, or you might know me as 20, you know, from Twitter. And people would go, oh my god, 20! And then for the rest of BlizzCon, I was getting both names, and it turns out I respond to both.
There you go. There you go. And I bet you very few people ran you down yelling, hey, lesbian lady! Hey, lesbian lady!
There was that one. No,
No,
there were none.
Not a single one. And it worked out.
Yeah.
It worked out. You were able to talk to people and interact, and it was awesome.
Strange.
I know. So weird without label. Okay, what's the cat's name?
Lucy,
Hi, Lucy.
look at, she's trying to get me to move my keyboard. This is why I go quiet in chat rooms, because she's like, she takes priority over my keyboard on my lap.
Oh, I see. She's like, that's my spot.
Well, everybody, chat room, thank you for hanging out tonight. 20 Bim, once again, thank you so very much. Everybody have a absolutely wonderful and great night. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Yes. Thanks.